Awesome. We are live. So, welcome to our Fatherhood Roundtable. I am so excited as you are joining us on this live. Please let us know what city and state or country you are watching the live from. I am Cassandra Mack, founder of Cassandra Mack Ministries, where we bring you church by phone each and every Sunday. I am the owner of Strategies for Empowered Living, a training and development company that teaches people how to live their best life and how to navigate the twists and turns of life. And so today, in honor of Fatherhood's Day, which is this coming Sunday, I have a very esteemed panel. I am so excited to have these dynamic men joining us this evening. And so I'm going to take a moment, introduce each one very quickly, and my short introduction cannot even begin to do them justice. I'm going to ask that you follow each of them on social media. They're going to be dropping some gems, and we're going to get right into the questions. So again, welcome, everyone. So first up is Joel Austin. He is the CEO of Daddy University. Hello. Next up is Matt Stevens. He is an author and the founder of welcometowork.org. Next up, we've got Elder Andy Soto, retired Army Sergeant and founder of Only for His Glory Promotions and Ministries. Next up, we have Damon Pearson, a social service advocate working in the social services field with children and families for more than 20 years. Last but not least, we have Bishop Darren A. Ferguson, pastor at Bethel Baptist Church and reentry coordinator at Orange, New Jersey Police Department. And so without further ado, starting from Matt Stevens, can you take 30 seconds and just tell our viewers about yourself?
Hey, thank you so much, Cassandra, for inviting me to this activity. And brothers, welcome. My name is Matt Stevens. I am a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. And in that fraternity, I sit on the mentoring and fatherhood committee, where we focus on helping boys connect with their fathers and to engage in mentoring activities.
Awesome. Welcome. Joel Austin, can you take 30 seconds and tell our viewers who you are and what you do?
My name is Joel Austin, President, CEO, and founder of Daddy University Incorporated. We're the 18-year-old male parenting education company. We run Fathers Club classes around the city of Philadelphia. We also are in our 11th year of our Daddy and Daughter Dance and also our Fatherhood Conference. And it's great to be a part of you all.
Awesome. We are so glad to have you. Next up is my friend from high school, Elder Andy Soto, who is a retired Army Sergeant, the founder of Only for His Glory Promotion and Ministries, and so much more. Could you take 30 seconds and tell our viewers who you are and what you do?
Amen. My name is Elder Andre Soto, or Andy Soto. I am a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and I'm also involved with the prison ministry. We go around and help mentor men to become fathers to their children, and that's what we do. Awesome.
Next up is Damon Pearson, who has been working in the social service field for more than 20 years. Can you take 30 seconds and tell our viewers who you are?
Sure. Thank you, Cassandra, for having this forum for one thing, and thank you for introducing me to these brothers here. Damon Pearson. I work for Good Shepherd Services. My title is Vice President of Community Centers. I too was part of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. Go Mob to my man Andy over there. Yeah, I've been doing this for going on 23 years, a host of different things, for working inside school-based programs, part of a mentorship program right now. So I'm the father of a lot of young people throughout the years. I sent about over 20-something people to my historical Black college. I went to Bennett College. So, but yeah, like I'm saying, thank you. So happy to be here with these brothers, man.
We are happy to have you. And last but not least, my good friend, Bishop Darren A. Ferguson, pastor at Bethel Baptist Church and reentry coordinator at Orange, New Jersey Police Department. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
again, as I reiterate what everybody else said, thank you so much for doing this, Cassandra. Thank you for introducing me for these awesome gentlemen. As Forrest stated, I'm the pastor of Bethel Baptist Church in Orange, New Jersey. I also serve the city of Orange as the entry coordinator for the police department. I am the lead chaplain for the police department. And I am also the president of the board for Fathers Incorporated, now located out of Atlanta, Georgia, with our dear brother, Ken Braswell. And there's a whole lot more, but that's enough for now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And make sure at the end to give out your social media handles, everyone, your websites. I know some of you are authors. Make sure to give out all of that information. So for those who are watching the live, for those who will be watching the replay, for those who will be watching this tomorrow on YouTube, give a warm welcome, give a hand clap for all the brothers on the panel who are going to drop some gems about fatherhood. We are celebrating fathers this month. So my first question is, what perspective and or parenting approach does a father bring to a child's life that is different from the mother? Joel, I want you to tackle that question.
Because we have such a great panel, I'm trying to tackle it quick. So I did this workshop. I do a workshop, and I draw the sun, and then I draw the moon, and then I draw the earth, and I say, give me the job description of each. They talk about the sun brings this warmth, it brings energy, it brings light. What's the job description of the moon? And the moon, it provides balance. It lets you know when it's time to go to bed. It also provides condensation, a period of condensation, so that the flowers can actually grow. And then the earth, and then when everything is revealed, you find that the qualities of the sun almost match the qualities of the mother, and the qualities of the moon match the qualities of the father. And then, of course, both of them together help bring about flowers and grass, or else there would not be any on this earth. So it's interesting though, because the moon, depending on the distance, the moon provides balance. If the moon is too close and too far, and if it shakes, then you have tidal waves, and you have monsoons, and when the moon is out of balance. But when the moon is in balance, and it's funny because being in Philly, gun violence wise, you think if the moon is out of balance, that's why you end up with gun violence. That's why you end up with these schools and certain things that you don't like. So we provide another type of balance, and we provide a certain type of balance that helps children become more successful. So.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Matt, can you tackle that same question for me?
Hey, it's impossible to go after this, brother. I don't got nothing like moons and stars, and but I think my answer would be the different energy, not a better, but just a different energy. I wrote a book called Fathers Make a Difference. And what I did for the book is I just asked everybody I knew on social media to give me a quote of something that your father said that made a difference in your life. And I took 365 quotes. And so I have a quote for every day from a different father and what he had said to the child that made a difference. And so what I've noticed more than anything else is that fathers bring a show me attitude and energy to the table, where in some instances, mothers bring more of a talking or an engagement from that perspective.
Absolutely. I think about, like, as a mom, and when you hear mothers say, when your father gets home, well, I'm going to tell your dad. So the mother is the telling and the father is the guidance, the discipline. And so this is awesome. I'm going to come to Bishop Darren Ferguson. And then for question 2, I'm going to move on to Damon and Andy.
I think the father brings, after Joel get that whole thing with the give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and the mountains, there's really nothing. But I think that's exactly right. I think that based on each's skills and their gifts, and the mother and father bring balance and harmony to the household. Just having those different energies. I've always said that, boys don't get to be men unless they get to see men. And so we have to have that balance of having the man and the woman in the household. And the other thing I think having a man in the household does is when it's done right, the child learns a healthy balance of what relationships are supposed to be. And I don't think you learn that out in the street. I think you have to learn that by seeing it. And it works best when you see it with people who love you. And I think that's what a father brings to the household.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm going to start with Damon, then I'm coming over to Andy. How has being a father changed your life?
For me, it made me not be as selfish as I used to be. I mean, the thing when, before you just yourself and you're just out there in the streets and just doing whatever, I never think about nobody concerned or how somebody would look at me. And, the things you start changing is about you trying to make sure you're protecting your legacy. You're trying to make sure that now you're becoming that teacher and that person that the person is looking up to. And you realize that you want to be that image that you would want your son or daughter. Like if you had a son, you want your son to be like you. If you had your daughter, you want your daughter to date somebody or marry someone like you. Now, I'm making sure you're doing that out there. That's the main thing. That it took all that selfishness out of me. It made me so patient. I have a son that's special needs, so it's a little different for me from a lot of people. My son is a nonverbal autistic 15-year-old. So it really taught me how to be patient. It really taught me how to be understanding and seeing love through different kind of lenses and from other fathers when they have like high functioning young children. So that's the main thing. But one thing I keep hearing echoing is the balance. It just like really made you understand that you have to have a balance with your child. Like I always use the thing with a tree can grow. A baby tree always has two sticks on each side with a string pulling it, right? If one string cuts off to the side, the tree leans the wrong way. So, but when you have both strings pulling to it gets to a strength and to grow tall, and then you cut the string, the tree grows upright. So it taught me to always have that balance with my ex-wife, my son's mother, to make sure that I was always going to be there. So my son, the best of he can be, is to grow up straight. So that's what fatherhood taught me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Same question, Andy. What is
Well,
fatherhood taught you?
for me, it was totally different. Not having my father there as a teenager, I didn't have nobody to help me to understand how to become a father and what I needed to do to become a father. And so when I had my first child, I was running amok. I was young in the military, still trying to live a single life until a pastor at the church where I was stationed at showed me that I was doing things wrong. And then I learned balance and how to spend quality time with my son and daughter and help them build themselves up to be who they are today. So that's how I learned to be a father.
Bishop, same question. How has being a father changed your life?
Well, it was I had a different road to fatherhood than most. My daughter was born 3 months before I was incarcerated. So I spent the first, I went to prison when my daughter was 3 months old, and I came out 2 weeks before her 9th birthday. So my road to fatherhood was different. I had to learn how to be a father from a distance. I had to learn a different type of patience and a different type of empathy and a different type of listening. I had to utilize every moment that I had with her, and I'm thankful that I had lots of moments with her, even though it was in prison visiting rooms and conjugal visits. But I had to utilize every moment that I could and maximize it as best as I could. And that has been, and it changed me in the sense that it was, for me, it was my lifeline, because being a father was the reason why I fought so hard, not just to get out of prison, but to make sure that I was a different person on the other side of that experience. Every college class I took, I thought about my daughter. Every program that I enrolled in, I thought about my daughter. Every time that I resisted the temptation to beat the stew out of somebody or do something that could have possibly or potentially got me more time in prison, I thought about my daughter. And she was a catalyst. I remember when she finally figured out that it was a prison she was coming to and not a hospital, which is what they told her when she was a baby. She asked me why I was in jail. She said, only bad people go to jail. And I said, no, sometimes decent people who do bad things go to jail. And she asked me why, and I told her about my drug use. And that was the main reason why I went to prison. That was the catalyst for what I did. And she said, promise me. She was 4. She said, promise me you'll never do drugs again. And that was 28 years ago. And I haven't had a drink, I haven't had anything stronger than Pepsi since then. So she's changed my life, and she gave me a reason to live, and then she has also given me a reason to be better. Even now in her 30s, she still gives me a reason to be better.
My God, and look at you now. So for every father, every young man who was watching this, you know, there was some positive, there's so much positive things. There are some powerful things that all of you have said today. Joel talking about how fathers bring balance, Damon talking about the tree, and that if it leans too much to one side, it's out of balance, you know. Andy talking about how he had to learn to be a dad. Matt talking about all the different quotes, and then Bishop talking about totally turning his life around. So for every father who was watching this, I want you to make sure that you get something out of this. For every mother who was watching this, make sure you get something out of this. So Annette is saying hello in the chat. Hi, Annette, how you doing, my love? So what are some things, this brings me to the next question, and Andy kind of touched on it, and I'm going to start this time with Matt. What are some things that you've had to learn as a father, and how did you learn them, starting with Matt?
I guess the biggest thing that I learned is that I don't know everything, and to ask someone that I trust to kind of help me out. My father was a good person, but we didn't have a really good relationship where I can kind of go ask him if something kind of came up today in dealing with my child. I couldn't call my dad and ask him. So I have good brothers like Joel and David Miller and Kenny Bradswell, who I can kind of call and say, hey man, something happened today and I'm kind of stumped. I don't really know where to go with it. And when I was younger, I kind of just thought that if I didn't know something, I just have to figure it out on the fly and not trust anybody else. I found that trusting other brothers to give me guidance and advice was the best thing to kind of help me become a better father.
Awesome. Same question, Joel. What are some things that you've had to learn as a father, and how did you learn them?
I learned patience. I learned about different personalities. I learned that just because they had the same father and that they had the same exact mother, that they were not all the same at all. I learned that the true sense or the true strength of a man, the biggest and strongest of us is the one that could ask for help. As a man, I'm never going to ask. I was never one to ask for help. As a father, I end up asking for help often, kind of like Brother Matt said. And it made me, because I learned, like as a man, I had a lot of reasons to get an apartment, reasons to get a car, reasons to do this and reasons to do that. And when I became a father, I ended up with purpose. And purpose was totally different. I learned purpose, purpose makes little teeny shoes awesome and amazing. You know what I mean? It just gives you a reason, and to wake up and purpose driven. And yeah, I learned dealing with different personalities, how to handle them different. And also that the way my father raised me is a different generation, a different age, and I had to address things and learn things differently and raise my kids differently. It's a great transformation, but you have to give it time. People don't give it enough time.
Yeah. Zaman, same question. What are some things that you had to learn as a father, and how did you learn them? And you mentioned raising a child with special needs. So I would imagine that there were some additional things that you may have had to figure out along the way.
Oh yeah. Like you all said, the first thing I would say is patient with that, but being patient. What I learned, all advice is not good advice. Some people really, because some people got to realize they were raised in trauma and they brought their own trauma to their own family lives. So
yep.
I wasn't raised in trauma, so I just had to rethink who I'm getting my advice from. So some of those things. Then also a lot of people didn't understand, like we have a child with special needs. Raising them is a little different than a high functioning person. He might not know the right from wrong, and I'm not scolding him by spanking him or something like that. He just doesn't know. He just can't help it because of his situation. So that's one thing with my child that's different from a lot of other people. But the best thing I always tell people, try to break those family curses of how you were raised and what like the beating of the belts and the screaming and the saying of hard words to your child. Like, just speak life into them. Like, we have to somehow stop the trauma. It just, we got to break that crazy cycle in our community with our babies. And that's what's the main thing. The advice I was giving for some people just didn't fit into my lifestyle and how I was raised. And I said I had to cut that short real quick, because I had, you know, I have a beautiful son. I had to make sure he's going to be good, and I couldn't bring that drama and trauma to him. So.
Awesome. So we're getting some gems here. I want to make sure that you are taking notes. So we're hearing, number one, ask for help. We're hearing, don't be afraid to say that you don't know everything. We're hearing, keep what works, leave out what no longer works. Don't pass down dysfunctional cycles. And so we're hearing some really good things straight from the mouths of men who are fathers active in their children's lives. So I want to move on to Andy, and then I'm going to move on to Bishop. What have you taught your childhood children about manhood by the way you live and the values that are important to you? And I believe that a child's first role of a man, whether it's your daughter or your son, is the father. A father is teaching a daughter what to look for. A father is teaching a son how to be a man. So what have you taught your children, Andy, about manhood just by the way you live and the values that are important to you?
In the beginning, it was like, I know the older Dodge, don't do what I do as I say. I had to learn very quickly that was the wrong way to go. That was the wrong approach. So basically, through the mentorship of pastors, deacons of my church, I've learned to just be able to just talk to them on life's term, as with their own personality, and deal with them. Because what I had to learn was my son wasn't raised the way I was raised. Even though he's my biological son, he wasn't cut from the same cloth. So basically, how to deal with him on his situations, the way that he can understand, and the way that I can interpret what's going on with him, so that we can be on one accord. It took a long time, and it's still a work in progress. He's 22, he's 23 years old, but to God be the glory, we're getting better. It's just, awesome. It's just like the man on the potter's wheel. We have to shape him, even though he may fall down and you have to rebuild it. Just don't give up. I can say that to all the fathers. Don't give up. Keep on until you get it right, in order through Christ.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'm going to come to Bishop, but I just want to piggyback off of something Andy said. And Andy talked about how his son wasn't cut from the same cloth. And I think something that a lot of parents do, father and mother, is we have this concept of this is my mini me. And in reality, it is not your mini me. It is a human being with their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own ideas. Yes, of course, they have your DNA. Yes, of course, they have a lot of your characteristics, idiosyncrasies, and qualities, but they are their own person. And so I'm glad that you touched on that, Andy. And part of understanding that they're their own person is that they may think like you. They may not think like you. You may run into conflict, and you may have to deal with those things. So I want to bring it over to Bishop. What have you taught your children about manhood by your values, the way that you live?
Wow. I think that one of the greatest lessons that I've learned, and I think I'm able to pass on, I only have one biological daughter, but I have a bunch of kids, is that you have to be accountable. You have to be accountable. You have to show up, and you can't be afraid to say that you made a mistake. I think that one of the toxic things that we grew up in a lot of our households was that mama, daddy's never wrong. And that's just not true. Right. My mother was wrong a lot of times, and when I got older and grew up and understood the trauma that she inflicted on me because she was angry at my father, and she could not see, because of her emotions or whatever she was going through, she couldn't see it. I realized that if I find myself doing something that is adding toxicity to my children's life, then I have to be able to backtrack, stop, go back, apologize, and regroup. And that's one of the things that I've taught them. You know, one of the greatest lessons of manhood for me was not being afraid to say that you're wrong and not being afraid to revise your position. And that doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong. It makes you a man who says that, you know what, I'm going to stand by the courage of my convictions. And if I realize that the conviction that I have today is wrong, I'm not afraid to revise it publicly and to be able to talk about that change, because that makes you a better person long run. Because I don't think anyone becomes a better human being without some level of evolution. And evolving ultimately means that something was right yesterday is not right today.
That's right. That's right. And so it essentially shows your children that you are teachable and that you have a growth mindset. So I want to bring the same question to Matt. What have you taught your children about manhood, children, by the way that you live and your values?
I think more than anything else is perseverance. Get up every day and go do something you love to do.
Okay.
I think that more than anything else is what I do every single day in my life. I've got up, I've done what I wanted to do, and I worked hard at it. I love what I do. And so my kids can see that every day, that if I could do it, they could do it. So I just try to lead by example, find something that I love to do, become good at it, and then allow myself to make a living from it. So that's what I ask my kids. And just at first, one of the things that one of the brothers had said about not really, no, your kid's not you, is not a mini me. I had to actually learn that lesson with my son. My son loves video games, and I didn't really understand the concept of being a gamer. When he said, well, Dad, I don't want to go to college. I want to be a gamer. So I says, well, what is that? And he says, well, I play games. I put it on YouTube, and then people pay me to watch me play. I said, you must be out your mind if you think
Well, there are a lot of wealthy gamers
and play video games. You got to be out of your mind. You better go to college. And then after a year in community college, I just looked at the grades. I'm looking at money I'm spending, and it says, hey, you listen, I told you I didn't want to go. Some of that was hard-headedness, but I think also I didn't really give him an opportunity to explore that gamer situation. So what happened with us is that we met halfway. I purchased some of the material that he needed, and then he committed to completing school so that we kind of met halfway. So I learned that lesson, and I think perseverance on both ends is what I believe is the answer to that question.
Nice. So what I'm also hearing is you encouraged him to pursue his dreams. You encouraged him to follow his heart. You encouraged him to reach for his goals in addition to the goals that you had for him. And so that's one of the caveats that we can take away in terms of teaching your children to reach for their goals. Same question, Joel. What have you taught your children about manhood by the way you live and your values?
So I have mostly boys. They're so terrible. They get on my nerves. I have mostly boys, but it's my daughters that I actually love. They're so cuddly. They hug you for no reason. When my sons hug me, I gotta check my wallet to see if all my money's still there. And my car keys.
With you.
My car keys. Seriously, come on. So I think one thing is manhood, which I taught them. It's self-sufficiency, and it really is self-sufficiency. So it's a lot of learning involved, learning how to cook, learning how to do this, learning how to budget. Manhood is a lot of self-sufficiency, and it's supposed to lead you into husbandry. And then from husbandry, you're supposed to lead you into fatherhood. So you learn how to cook one piece of chicken, then you learn how to cook two, and then by the time you get to fatherhood, it's just another pack of chicken. It's taught me to be a constant learner, like a constant learner, always, and always. And I'm never the smartest person in the room. I feel as though there's nobody that I can't learn from or take something away from. And that self-sufficiency and has built me to a point of manhood where I can also speak my mind freely because I have my own house and my own car. It's a powerful movement to come from manhood to fatherhood. I think manhood it's so much of you proving yourself. And once I got to fatherhood, it's so much of me not having to prove anything to anyone except the people in my home. Fatherhood, I
Say
don't,
that again. Say that again for the people in the back.
I mean, manhood to me was always proving myself, always proving myself. And once I became a father, I didn't have to prove anything to anyone. And my only judge, actually, as a father, was my kids. It wasn't their mother, it wasn't the courts, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. I asked my son one day, I said, "What grade do you give me out of 1 to 10?" He said, "I give you like a 7." I was like, "Why 7?" He said, "Because you always owe me about homework. You always make me go to bed. You always make me do that." I was like, "I'm gonna just have to take that 7, because I'm not going to stop doing what I do." So it's a strong change, and you have to let people come to this change on their own. And manhood is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing, and fatherhood is an enhancement of that. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm hearing a theme from both Joel and Bishop Ferguson in terms of growth and evolution. And Bishop started with it when he talked about evolution, being able to course correct, being able to be accountable, being able to course correct publicly, letting your children know that I don't have all the answers. And I thought that this was the right way to go, but when I had some time to think it over, maybe this is a better way of doing it. So for the fathers listening to this, don't be afraid to course correct. You know, we always say kids don't come with instructions, and neither does parenthood. And so this is awesome. I'm gonna go to our next question for Damon. What is the hardest thing about being a father?
Because I got a nephew that looks at me as father. His father was not really there, and my niece. The hardest thing for me is like what Joel said. Like sometimes when like he can get graded on a 7, it's like you're trying to teach them something and they don't understand. Like you're trying to give them a lesson. And trying to not be with the lesson, like, damn, I want you to get this lesson, but then trying to pull back to let them make their own mistakes. And so, like, we want to be the protector because we don't want them, because we know what's down the road, right?
Right.
99% of the time, we know what's going to be down that road. So we try to tell them, like, yo, man, listen, I went down that road and I stepped in some dog mess. I think you need to go around the dog mess so your shoes don't get dirty. And however, when they step in the dog mess, then you want to get on them, like, man, didn't I tell you some dog mess there? So it's just that protecting and trying to guide, that guidance thing of always trying to guide them and just like, please take these lessons. I want to be easy because the generation before you always want to make the generation after be a little bit more easy, right? You know, a lot of people sacrificed for all of us to be here. So they made it easy for us. All of us are very distinguished men here. We all did great things in our communities and they sacrificed. My father only had a 9th grade education. Great dude, but he only thing he had was hard hands because he worked hard. I have soft hands because I don't do nothing but put pencils and paper all day and press keyboards. So he did those generations set up for us, right? So that's what we try to do for them. But it's just stop being hard-headed. That's like hard. They said a hard head make a soft behind, something like that. So that's what we're trying to make them not to have that behind. But that's the hardest thing for me. And just trying to teach them like your name is everything. Don't destroy it. Please. Your name, when people say your word is bond, your word is like, please don't destroy your name.
Right. That's right.
You know, so your name is good credit. If you
That's
have a good
right.
name
is credit.
Yeah, so that's the hardest thing for me for teaching my nephew, my niece, and my son.
Awesome, awesome. Andy, same question. What's the hardest thing about being a father?
I'm going to tackle this with 3 ways. First one being fatherhood. Having to learn to grow up. Some of us had children at an early age, some waited till later on, but we have to be in the right mindset. We have to be able to learn, okay, now's the time to have finances correct. Learn how to deal with the children. Learn how to be there for the spouse or the mother of your child. And those are things that men need to learn. And it starts at a young age. Now, we need to teach our sons, our nephews, how to grow up to be a man. The second part is focus on quality versus quantity. The key here is focusing on the quality of time to spend with your children, that child, and to make every moment count and establishing strong communication. That's
nice.
And the last one is learning how to let go.
Ooh.
When that child reaches a certain age, you have to learn how to say, you know what? Make your bed, you lie in it. The brother
That's
said,
hard. That's hard.
hard. But the brothers just said hard head makes soft bottom.
Uh-huh.
That's how they say it at my wife's hospital. Hard head makes soft bottom because she works at a hospital where they all are from the West Indies. So those are the three things that I feel answers that question.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Bishop, what is the hardest thing about being a father?
For me, it is not being able to fix things
Yeah.
and knowing that sometimes I shouldn't. You know, I'm a girl dad. So when my daughter comes to me and something's wrong, I want to fix it. And I want to tell her what she should do. And I learned the value early on to resist the urge to give advice and to ask probing questions. And in asking those questions, help her come up with her own answers. And it's difficult to sometimes watch them like I think it was Damon said, you know, watch them step in the mess and knowing they're gonna step in it and knowing the smell and the embarrassment and everything stepping in it, but letting them, but realizing that the lesson of stepping in it is much more valuable than me telling them or guiding them or standing there saying, don't step in. Sometimes you got to let them step in mess because, but it's hard. That's hard for me because I want to fix it. I want to put my cape on and I want to, you know, bend steel in my bare hands and leap mighty buildings and all that stuff. You know, I want to be Superman to my kids, but I realize that the best self that I can be for them is to be there to catch them when they fall, and sometimes to be there to soothe them after the fall, to let them know that it's okay to fall and that they'll get back up again, and to also just sometimes be a coach instead of being, you know, Big Papa Bear. And sometimes just being a coach and saying, get back out there, take the shot again, you got it.
I love the concept, Bishop, that you just shared of being a coach, because I think as your kids get older, you are more of a coach and an advisor. And I love the analogy of taking that shot again, helping your kids to develop perseverance, determination, tenacity, and resilience. That is very powerful. So I want to now bring it over to Matt. And I want to ask the question, starting with Matt, what was passed down to you from your father or father figure that you try to pass down to your children?
I guess one of the greater things in my father figures that I learned was learn how to really listen. I don't think most men listen to understand. I think they listen to provide an answer. I read a book once called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
From Venus, In
the book, he kind of gives an example that when a woman is in a conversation, she could talk on the phone for hours about absolutely nothing, which, you know, in our opinion, but they're actually expressing feelings, and a lot of things go without even having to be said because the conversation led to that. I would say that out of all of the four brothers on the line, we don't have those type of conversations where we engage for hours. We have conversations where we look to find the answer as quick as possible. So when we start our conversation, we're even before the person finishes, we're putting in our mind to say, okay, this is what they're gonna want. This is how they're gonna do it. And we try to provide an answer. So as soon as they're finished talking, it says, okay, I heard what you said. This is what you gotta do. What I found as a father is, like the other brother had indicated, not try to fix everything, but sometimes just our kids just need to listen, us to listen to them, and sometimes not give advice, but just the fact that we heard what they said, understood what they said, and that we now have a better understanding of them. So I think listening was something that was passed down to me by my mentors.
Awesome. Joel, same question. What was passed down from your father figure that you passed down to your children?
So I'm the youngest of four. So by the time I came about, my dad was working like 2 jobs. So we got to know each other, and we were was good. My mom hung out a lot, and I remember when my dad passed, I didn't know him. We didn't get to hang out like him and my brothers did. And I used to say, well, my mom did this and my mom did that, and my mom did this. And my brother came to me and said, do you realize that the only way mommy was able to even do any of that with you is because daddy took care of this and daddy took care of that. She would never have even the time to go to some of your meetings, go and do this. If he was not here, she would have been having 2 jobs and your life would not be the same. So my father provided a certain support to me that I would have not gotten at that time in that day and age from anyone else. He set a tone of providership, and the providership wasn't just financial. It was secretly making sure I pretty much had everything, a kid in West Philly could have. If my friends got $100 skateboard, I got a $35 skateboard. You know what I mean? With one of the wheels was a little wiggly, but you learned some new stunts like that.
Right. But you still had a skateboard.
You still had a skateboard. I also learned that it was better for me to let out my emotions than keep them in, because my dad dealt with the exact same kind of grief and loss of letting us go and seeing us leave as my mother did, where my mother was free to cry. She was free to act up, where my dad wasn't. It does not mean he wasn't in sorrow when we finally went off to school, when we finally did that. And as a father, I deal with grief and loss like every single birthday. Every time somebody has a birthday, I'm thinking, man, I remember when you was 12. I remember you was 13. Like you remember. And people say that, we'll bring it up in conversations. And I think also I learned the balance from him of I was always thinking that I'm never doing enough, but I had to wait and see how the game ended. I believe that there was a time when he did not think he was doing enough. And then the next thing you know, I was graduating college, and then he ended up getting all his answers then. So I learned that sometimes when I look at my kid when they were 10 years old, I was thinking, yeah, these kids ain't gonna make it. But now learn to be patient and watch the finish line. It made me more proud and see how I even contributed. So I passed that down to my sons as well, and to my daughter. To my daughter, it's really important for me to go on date nights and to take her out, because I want her to know, to listen to her husband, to know that, all women are not right. All women are not always exact, and that you have to have balance in relationships. So it's a lot of life lessons.
A lot of lessons. So we have one more question.
Except you, Cassandra, you always right. Except you.
I'm always right. I appreciate that, but I know I'm not always right. But we have one more question, and then we're going to wrap up. The time went by so fast, and I'm going to ask this question of all of you. And then please include any social media handles, websites. If you have an event or something that you want folks to know about, a book, make sure to do that. So here's our last question. I'm going to start with Damon. What advice would you give to a brand new father or a very young father who was not quite sure how to step into this new role? And we're going to ask everyone, I'm sorry, if they can do it in 1 minute or less.
Okay, real quick. One thing with a new father, and when we first became fathers, you're going to make mistakes. It's just hands down. This is something new. It's just like when you first start driving a car, you're going to make the crazy turn. You're going to signal out, going to the next lane. You're going to do all those kind of little mistakes and learn from them. Everything is going to be teachable moments. Young fathers, if you're not with your lady, try to understand like the stuff she's going through having a kid too, and be patient with that. And communication. You have to communicate to your lady. You have to communicate to your child. And everything that you do, remember, it's your legacy. It's your name. It's your image. And a lot of you guys are into religion, like the image of God. So you like the God to that child. So your image is everything that you're going to put up on your child. So I hope I wrapped that up in 1 minute. I don't want to take up everybody's time, but yeah.
You did a beautiful job. Austin, do you want to let people know about your YouTube channel?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought I was going to do that. Okay. So I'm on Facebook. My name is Damon Pearson. On Instagram is Damon P14. I also do a podcast every Wednesday night. We had Cassandra Mack last week on the show. We had the gubernatorial candidates on the show. It's called Let's Chop It Up, produced by the Black and Latino Meetup Group. This Friday, we're having a Juneteenth event at the Prince Joshua Vito Community Center located in East New York, Brooklyn, 876 Skank Avenue, from 11 to 3 p.m. Our guest speaker will be my son, the activist, and former rapper will be there. And that's pretty much what's going on in the last few months. And Juneteenth is my birthday, so I'm gonna be out here.
Happy early birthday. Happy
Birthday.
early
Father's Day
birthday.
happy Father's Day to the brothers too, and happy Juneteenth to you brothers too, and you too, Cassandra. Happy Juneteenth.
Awesome. Moving over to Andy. What advice would you give to a brand new father, young father, and any closing words, anything coming up that you want people to know about that you're doing?
I would use Proverbs 22 verses 1 and 6. A good name is rather to be chosen than a great riches, but the simple are passed and on and punishment. And verse 6 says, train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You can find me on Facebook, Elder Andy Soto, TikTok. I'm a TikTok influencer.
You're doing your thing on TikTok. I see you.
TikTok influencer and also real influencer. I'm also one of the senior elders at Empower Believers Christian Learning Center. And I'm also on Rain TV. I'm the producer for the Sunday shows and broadcasts.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Matt, same question. What advice would you give to a brand new father or young father? And leave us your social media handles, website, book information.
Great. I think I will go with one of the quotes from my book. And the quote stated that success is a great cheerleader and failure is a great teacher. And so
Nice.
my hope is that the young brothers would be able to take that quote and apply it to their life. At Instagram, I'm Matthew Mentors. I'm at our website for the fraternity is adapidechapter.org. And we're really excited we're doing a father and son retreat at the Princeton Blairtown Retreat Center this weekend. So anybody from Essex County, New Jersey, who has children who are looking for Black men to mentor them, please get in contact with us through adapidechapter.org.
And Matt, don't you also have something? I saw something on your page where something with a magazine for youth ages. I couldn't remember the ages, but something where you were showing youth how to do a magazine.
Absolutely. We actually hired a young man from South Orange who's going to be teaching kids how to write an anime magazine. Anime is one of the new cartoons that the kids are using. And so we have a brand new fraternity house on South Harrison Street in East Orange. And we're having summer mentor activities all summer long, starting with the anime course.
Awesome, awesome. Joel, same question, and let us know about all your upcoming events, website, everything we need to know. I know you have some awesome products on Daddy University. And so first, what advice would you give to a brand new father who is not quite sure how to step into that role, and then give out your social media and any upcoming events?
Brand new father, I would say, calm down. You got this, bro. Like you seriously, you got this. These children are born with half of your DNA and half your chromosomes. The ice cream that you like, most likely they like. The games that you like, most likely they like. The jokes that you like, most likely they like. You already got this. Like you already getting a C+. Everything else is B's and A's. Like all you have to do is listen, ask questions, and have fun with this fatherhood. I mean, I know money is important. I know job is important, but nobody ever said, man, I wish I'd spent more money with my kids. Like, have fun with this. If you don't know the words to Frozen by the time she's 6, something wrong with you. Like, it's okay. I've had my name.
Frozen.
I'm not, you're not doing me loud like that. I got people from the hood. I'm not going to go there. You can reach me, daddyuniv.com. Everything is on our website. This August 14th is our 11th annual Daddy and Daughter Dance, which is an incredible event that Brother Derek Phillips put me on from New York. We've been having ours, and we started, 40 people came out. The last time we locked it down, it was like 600 people, like Black men, all ages and stages, bringing their daughters in limos and renting cars and, kind of stuff you don't see on TV. And because actual fathers bring about more self-esteem in girls than even our mothers do. So have fun with this and learn the words to Frozen, because I know.
Awesome, awesome. And you also have some awesome products, right, on the website?
Yeah, we have some new t-shirts now. One is that I'm a father of a queen, and then the other one is that I'm a daughter of a king. A lot of them been wearing alike, and then we have other ones like a college t-shirt because it's Daddy University. It's really, really unique. So one thing about fatherhood, it's been so serious all these years, like Brother Brother Pearson was talking about. So now you can have fun with this. Like I love coming out of my manhood skin and playing on the floor. Like you can have fun with it.
All
Have
right.
baseball.
Have fun with it.
Fun.
Get on the floor with your kids and have fun with it.
Oh, have fun with this.
So we're going to have Bishop Darren Ferguson close us out. What advice would you give to a brand new father or a young father who was not quite sure how to step into his role? And please give out your social media and anything that you have coming up, books, anything you want folks to know.
Well, after all that great advice, I think the only thing left that I could say is, and Andy, you stole Proverbs 22, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. Love actually does cover a multitude of sins. That love will get you through. That love will be the bridge. Love will repair breaches. Love will turn the tide. Love will turn your anger into joy, and love will help you get through anything that you need. It is really a love thing. Fatherhood is really a love thing, and love will really help you get through anything you need to get through, and help you bring your children through it as well. And social media, you can find me at Ferg Songs, FERGSONGS. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And on TikTok, it's Ferg Songs 77. And hopefully exciting things this week at Bethel Baptist Church. We're in summer revival. We've got 3 nights, 3 bishops. Bishop Arnold Batson, James Hassel, and Robert Bolton will be preaching for us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. And then later on this year, I'm hoping to finish republish my book again, How I Became an Angry Black Man from Prison to the Pulpit. Been working hard on the revisions and want to revise the 2022 version. So hopefully we'll have that out this year. Please come by the church. Facebook, www.wearebethelbc.org. And you can engage us, Bible study, prayer, all of that right there on the website, as well as on Facebook.
You're going to ask a pastor to go last. You know how long they take.
Awesome. I cannot thank you enough. I feel like we've only scratched the surface, and at some point we need a part 2. But I want to wish all of you amazing dads. And these are some amazing men. I know all of them personally. I know the work that they do, working in the communities, working to help so many people, to help families, youth. I mean, they're doing some amazing things. Check out their social media, support the work that they're doing. I feel blessed and privileged to be in your company, to know you all. And we all have history of over 10, 20, Andy, since we were kids, 14 years old. And so I'm just so blessed and grateful that you have joined me this evening. Happy Father's Day to all of you. Bless you. Thank you for being part of our fatherhood panel this evening. God bless you. Thank you for coming. Before we go, I just have a quick word from our sponsor, which is BetterHelp. So I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this fatherhood panel. If anyone is interested in seeking out licensed professional therapy, perhaps you're in a place where you want to get some therapy, there are some things going on, and you want to get to a place where you can mentally unpack, BetterHelp provides therapy online. I'm going to give you a link that you can use, and that link is betterhelp.com/Cassandra. That's BetterHelp, spelled HELP.com/Cassandra. And again, thank you all. You can all reach me at CassandraMackMinistries.com, where we bring you church by phone each and every Sunday. If you have a phone, you can worship with us. For corporate training, you can find me at strategiesforempoweredliving.com. Thank you again, gentlemen, for a wonderful, robust discussion. Happy Father's Day. Stay blessed. I salute all of you. Good night, everybody, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sister.
Bye, brother.
Hey, God bless.
Peace, brother.
God bless.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, brother.
Happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day.